Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today I'm going to be trying a puzzle called Fossils. I've no idea why it's called Fossils, but it's by Listesh. Listesh has appeared on the channel a few times before, always with very intricate, clever puzzles. So I hope this is no exception. I'm sure it isn't actually, because the testing reports say that this is a very good puzzle indeed. I'll read you the rules in just a second. Firstly, I'll get my excuses out of the way. I have had a couple of glasses of wine at lunchtime today, which is very unusual for me. So goodness only knows what that will do to my solving. Also, I've opened my window, which of course gives the opportunity for Maverick to take off in his plane and buzz past my window many times during the next half an hour or so, and no doubt that will happen. So apologies if it does. But anyway, what else to mention? Do check out Heatwave, which is this magnificent collection of puzzles we've got over on Patreon at the moment. We're very, very appreciative to all those of you who do support us there. It's a couple of bucks a month, and you make the difference, frankly. So you enable us to continue to do what we do. So there are 10 puzzles, 10 thermo-themed puzzles over there by Grockles, the resident astrophysicist on the Cracking the Cryptic scene, and the feedback has been stellar from the 350 or so of you who've managed to wade your way through them. So yeah, have a look at those over on Patreon. They're well worthwhile. Now, I will read you the rules of Fossils. I'm desperate to understand why it's called Fossils. Is there some sort of bone structure that I'm meant to be seeing in the grid? Maybe it's maybe it's those. Are they meant to look like bones or something? I don't know. Anyway, normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage. Oh, there's nothing about digits not repeating. Okay, and digits can't repeat in a cage in this puzzle because they're all within a single box of the Sudoku, so normal Sudoku rules takes care of the no repeated digits in a cage part of the rules that we would normally see. Digits along arrows sum to the digit in that arrow circle, so that's normal arrow rules. That means that, for example, you add up those two squares and the result you put in that arrow circle there. Cells separated by a white dot must contain consecutive digits. Not all possible dots are given. So look at this domino here. That would mean if this was a 4, for example, this square would either be a 3 or a 5. It must be one of those two digits to be consecutive. And the not all possible digits or not all possible dots are given part of the rules is saying that, let's look at this domino. It's absolutely possible that this contains a consecutive pair of digits. So that could be a 2, that could be a 3. There doesn't have to be a white dot between consecutive digits. It's just that we know for sure that those two digits are consecutive because there is a white dot. So it's a sort of positive constraint. So do have a go. The way to play puzzles, if you've never watched this before on Cracking the Cryptic, is to look in the description of the video, just beneath the video, and you'll find a link that will take you to this page where you'll be able to play the puzzle on whichever device takes your fancy. And with that, I get to play. Let's get cracking and see how we go. And I'm tempted to kick off with the secret, I have to say, because box 5 looks quite crowded to me. What have we got there? 26, 33. Yeah, okay, so this domino here, it's not perfect by any means, but this domino here must add up to 12. How do I know that this domino adds to 12? It's because of the secret. The secret is that this box altogether, if we correctly complete it, we know it's going to contain all of the digits 1 to 9. If you add up all the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So, if I know the whole box adds to 45, but those 7 cells there add up to 33, then I know these two must add up to 12 in order to get the whole box up to the required total. Now, the only bad thing about that is that 12 in 2 digits has 3 different ways of being done. It could be 3, 9, 4, 8, or 5, 7. I don't actually think there's going to be a way of us telling which of those is correct. So this all looks like a genuine red herring. Right, where else should we look? I can hear Maverick. I don't believe it. Literally, there's been no planes for the last 2 hours, and then all of a sudden, up he pops. Right. I've now totally lost my train of thought. such as it is. It's not going to be mod 3, is it? That's one thought it's always worth bearing in mind when you see consecutive, you see runs of 3 or 2 white Kropki dots connecting 3 cells like this. You know these 3 cells must contain digits that sum to a total that's divisible by 3. So we actually know that those are divisible by 3, those are divisible. Yeah, okay, that is interesting, actually. That is interesting. Let me go through what I'm thinking, which is, how do I know that this string of digits is divisible by 3? Well, it's pure mathematics. We know that this is consecutive digits, so let's call this digit x. Then this would be x minus 1 or x plus 1. Let's say it's x minus 1, and then this would be x plus 1. So the sum of these 3 digits together is 3 lots of x, 3x. In other words, it's divisible by 3. Now, if this is divisible by 3, 12 is definitely divisible by 3, and 45 for the box is divisible by 3. So it's by force, these must also be divisible by 3. Otherwise, the whole box will not be divisible by 3, and that would be a problem. Now, if this is divisible by 3, and those are divisible by 3, and 45 is divisible by 3, by identical logic, these 3 squares are divisible by 3. And 21 is divisible by 3, so now these 7 cells are divisible by 3. The whole box is divisible by 3, so now these 2 squares are divisible by 3. And why is that interesting? Well, these 2 squares add up to a single cell. So this single cell must be divisible by 3, which means it's either a 3... Oh, I see. It's either a 3, a 6, or a 9, and this domino adds up to 12, so it's not a 6. Because you can't go double 6 in these 2 squares. That's lovely. So this is a 3 or a 9. And we don't have a digit, but we have a deduction that is very beautiful indeed. Now, what does that deduction do? I'm not sure, actually. I don't think it's going to tell us. Is it going to tell us how all this works? So this 12 cage can still be 4, 8 or 5, 7. The 7 cage can't be 3, 4, so it's either 1, 6 or 2, 5. That's weird. So we must have to use this somehow. Is it the 10 cage? Ooh, right. I think it is the 10 cage. Let us switch track and not think about mod 3, but think about parity. Because look at this. 3 and 9 rule out 3, 7 and 1, 9 from this 10 cage. So how is this 10 cage made up? And the answer is we don't know. But we do know it definitely now contains 2 even digits, because it's either 2 and 8 or it's 4 and 6. Why is that interesting? Well, what do we know about a white Kropki dot? A white Kropki dot must contain an odd and an even number. So that's 1 even digit in that domino. That's a 2nd even digit in that domino. We know there's 2 even digits in the 10 cage, so these 6 cells contain 4 even digits. How many even digits are there in box 8? There are only 4. 2, 4, 6, 8. It's never too late. And that means that these 3 squares here are odd. And I'm actually wondering whether... Yeah, we're going to have to... This is absolutely lovely. I really like this. So it's completely switched tack. We started with mod 3 and the secret, and now I think we've got a parity shading puzzle, because what am I meant to use for odd numbers? I think I got this wrong in yesterday's video. I used colours that people didn't like, although that wasn't a parity puzzle. I think I'm meant to use orange for odd, because it begins with O. And that means if these are O, these are even, and that's meant to be blue, I think. Yeah, and the point being, of course, that these 3 squares now are all odd, because we know that the evens are all in those 6 cells, so they're odd. Now, if these 2 are odd, the sum of 2 odd digits is always an even number. Yeah. This is... I love this. I love puzzles like this because they are a trail of breadcrumbs, and it's not, it doesn't require any leaps of imagination. It just requires you to, keep following the trail of breadcrumbs. And the trail of breadcrumbs, we've got 3 odd digits there. Look at the 9 cage. The 9 cage is like a white Kropke dot in a way. We know it's got an odd and an even digit in it. So these 5 cells contain exactly 4 odd digits. Now the whole row is only allowed to have 5 odd digits. So what are we going to put in that domino there? These 2 digits here add up to an even digit. So they're either both odd or both even. They can't both be odd, or there would be 6 odd digits in row 7. So these are even. Here comes Maverick again. So can we... 3 evens. So this, right, yeah, okay, this 10 cage is now 2 odd digits, because again, whenever we make 10 in 2 digits, we're always using digits of the same parity. We're either pairing the 1 and the 9, and the 3 and the 7, or we're pairing the 2 and the 8 and the 4 and the 6. And we can't have 5 even digits in box 9, so those are odd. And we can't, it's the same similar logic for this. These 2 squares, which add to an even digit, have the same parity. So they're either both even or both odd, and they can't both be even, so they're both odd. Right, and this domino, therefore, is an odd and an even digit in some order. And that digit, yeah, that digit's odd, because this is an odd and an even digit, and we need 5 odd digits in the row. Now, what about the white Kropke dots then? The white Kropke dots, well, because this is a sequence of consecutive digits, let's imagine it was 1, 2 and 3, just for simplicity. You can see those 2 digits always have the same parity. So these 2 digits are either both odd or both even, but annoyingly they could both be odd. That wouldn't break the odds total for row 9. Okay, so what do we do now? Sorry if you're seeing it. I'm not seeing it at the moment. But I'm going to trust in Listesh's trail of breadcrumbs, so I'm not going to abandon this part of the grid just yet. Oh, the poltergeist is here today as well. That's what happens when you open your window. The wind blows, strange things happen to the doors, and Maverick flies past. And you lose your concentration. Get your concentration back. This is an even digit, so this is not... Oh, this is not 4 or 2 for obvious reasons. It can't be 4 because these are 2 even digits, so you'd have to double 2 these in order to make 4, and that's definitely not going to work from a Sudoku perspective. So that's a 6 or an 8. If it's 6, you'd have an awful lot of low digits in row. Does that break the 9 cage? You'd have 1, 5, 2, 4. Yeah, that breaks it. Lovely, lovely. Okay, so we continue on our trail by noting if this is a 6, this 9 cage is now impossible, because these squares would have to be a 1-5 pair and a 2-4 pair. And now, how are we going to make the 9 cage work? 1-8, 2-7, 3-6, and 4-5 are all ruled out. So this is not correct, and this is going to have to be an 8. Right, and those are 2 even digits adding to 8. There's only one way that works. That's a 2 and a 6. Okay, what pressure is that putting on the 9 cage? So the 9 cage is not 1-8, it's not 2-7, it's not 3-6, so it's 4-5. Oh, I see. And now this domino, which is an odd pair of digits adding to 8, is not 3-5 and must be 1-7. So these 2 squares are the remaining odd digits in the row. They're 3 and 9. Okay, so this triple now, look, can't involve the digits 4 and 5. So this is either 1, 2, 3. which it's not. It's not 1, 2, 3 because that would force the 10 cage to be 4, 6, which it can't be. So this threesome here is from the digits 6, 7, 8 and 9, and therefore it definitely contains a 7 and an 8. Okay, and that fixes the 10 cage, which is now not 3, 7, 2, 8 or 4, 6. So I think this is a 1, 9 cage. Now these two odd digits add up to 8 and they're not allowed to be 1, 7, so they're 3 and 5. These squares have got to be 4 and 7 to complete box 9. There's got to be a 4, look, in one of these 3 squares. Sevens, 8, 8 maybe. So 8's in one of those 3 squares. So the 10 cage is not 1, 9, it's not 3, 7. So it's either 4, 6, which would have to be this way round, or it's 2, 8, which would have to be this way round. Do we know which of those is correct? Oh, I know something. Look, I've got a 1, 9 pair here. That fixes my white Kropki dots now because we know they were selected from 6, 7s, 8s and 9s. They are not 9. So these are 6, 7 and 8. So that doesn't actually tell us much. We now know there's a 1 and a 2 in those squares, look. Which doesn't tell us much either. Okay, sorry. Let me try and work out what's going on. I've got it. This is beautiful. This is a beautiful, beautiful idea. Look at box 8. Now, the question to ask is, where does 5 go? And if we ask where 5 goes, we can see it's going to have to be, it can't be in this T pentomino, so it must be on a white dot. Well, what digit is going to accompany it on its white dot? The answer is, we don't know, except we do know it's either going to be a 4 or it's going to be a 6. Now, whichever one of those it is, there's no way we can now put a 4, 6 pair in the 10 cage because we would remove the ability of 5 to live on a white dot in box 8, where we know it does live. So this is not 4, 6, and it must be 2, 8, and we know the order, which might be useful. These squares now are 3s, 4s, and 5s, look. So, don't know what that... Oh, I know what it means. 8 is now locked into the 10 cage. So you now can't put 9 on a white dot in box 8. Because if you do put 9 in one of the white dots, you're going to need 8 to accompany it. So then the 9's going to have to live there. This is going to be 3. These squares are now known. They are 1, 2, and 9. And these squares are 3, 5, and 6, I think. Yeah, okay. So if we now look at the white dots again, they're constructed out of the digits 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s. But we know there's 2 white dot relationships within those options. So one of these is a 5, 6 pair, and one of them is a 3, 4 pair. Okay, well how... Yeah, this is good. Let's look at the 7 cage. What would happen to this 7 cage if this was a 5, 6 pair? The answer is this 7 cage has now become impossible because it couldn't be 1, 6, it couldn't be 2, 5, and it couldn't be 3, 4. So this is not a 5, 6 pair, and that means this is a 5, 6 pair, and we know where the 6 goes. That's a 6, that's a 5. That's a 3 and that's a 4, just by elimination. That's a 3, that's a 5. And we continue to follow our... Oh, look, that's annoying. We continue to follow our breadcrumbs, but this 3-4 pair is not actually eliminating any more from our 7 cage up here. Bother. So... 9, I suppose by Sudoku, has to be in one of these 3 squares, as does 3, look. So 3 and 9 have to be up there. The 12 cage here is either 8-4 or 5-7. So if it's 8-4, the 8 must live on its left-hand side. So it's either 8-4 or 5-7. And whichever one it is, the other high digit there, so let's say this was 8-4, then you'd have to put the 7 in the 14 cage because it couldn't live in the 7 cage. And if this is 5-7, you've got to put the 8 in the 14 cage. So the 14 cage either has a 7 or an 8 in it. What does that mean? Ah, yeah, okay. I see. So what I'm looking at is this square, actually. Because this only has the ability to be a 1 or a 7. And I was wondering whether what it would take to put a 1 and a 7 in the 14 cage and therefore break this cell. So if you think about this, it's very easy to do it, actually, because if this 7 cage is a 2-5 pair, you know that this is a 4-8 pair, and now I've got to put 1-6-7 in this triple, which is going to break this square. So this is not a 2-5 pair, and if it's not a 2-5 pair and it's not a 3-4 pair, it's a 1-6 pair. Haha, Poltergeist, you couldn't put me off that badly. Now this 1-6 is probably not actually doing anything, is it? Or is it? It means that 6 has to be in one of those 3 cells. Do I know now? I don't think I do know what this is still. Oh no, I do know something about it. The 5 here has now become really potent. The 5 is forced now into the 12 cage, so this is a 5-7 pair. And now we know those squares have got to be 2, 4 and 8 to make the total of 14. And now there's a 2 and an 8 that live over there by Sudoku. And 2 and an 8, there's a 4 up the middle, there's 5-7 here. What's this 5-7 doing then? This 5-7 is affecting the 11 cage and the 9 cage, actually. Is there something? Maybe we can do the secret on row 6. What have we got? 32 in those 6 cells. So these 3 squares add up to 13 to make 45 for the row. 5-7. So this is not 5-6. It's not 4-7. So this 11 cage is either 2-9 or 3-8. And the 9 cage is either, it's not 4-5, so this is either 3-6. Ah, I see, lovely. Right, okay. Look at the options for the 9 cage. It's either 3 and 6 or it's 1 and 8. Now, again, the way my peculiar mind works, especially after 2 glasses of red wine, is that I notice that 2 of those digits add up to 11. So the 3 and the 8. So how could this ever be a 3-8 pair? It can't be. If this was a 3-8 pair, there would be no way to fill the 9 cage anymore. So it's not 3-8, and I suppose it must be 2-9. So this is not a 2. That's weird. That doesn't actually resolve anything about the 9 cage. We still don't know what this is. Does it affect the 8 cage? So the 8 cage is now not 2, 6. So it's either 3, 5 or 1, 7. Three, 5 or 1, 7. How do we know which of those is correct? Ah! We follow the trail of breadcrumbs. So, look at box 6. Look at this 5. So this 5 can't appear in those by Sudoku, and it can't go in a 10 cage, otherwise you'd have to double the 5, which won't work. So the 5 is in one of those 2 squares. Now that 5 is pointing back over here, meaning this is now 1, 7, and that gives us digits. 6 and 1 go into the grid. So, and does that go further? I want it to, but I'm not sure whether it does or not. 3 in box 4 has to be in one of those 2 squares. That's interesting, because that means this is a 3 and this is a 9. So this domino adds up to 9 now. 9 plus 12 is 21. So these 4 squares add up to 24 to complete the row. I don't think that's going to be useful, actually. Yeah, it's so strange solving this puzzle, because I can almost feel how Listesh has constructed it, to be honest. Because now, look, now I've got my 3, 1 here. I can now rule the 5 out from the circle, because this circle now cannot be 1, 4, and if the 5 was here, you'd need these to add up to 5. 1, 4 is ruled out, and 2, 3 is ruled out. So the 5 is not there. So the 5 lives there, which means this is a relatively high digit that's not 6 or 7. So this is 8 or 9. Oh, yeah, this is 8 or 9. But it's not 8, because then you'd need a 3. So that's a 9. This is a 4. Therefore, that's not a 4. This square here has got to be a 2. Ah, this square's an 8, because it can't be a 2. There's already a 2 used in the 9 cage. So this is a 2. Now, has that done something? Have we... I sort of... Can we rule anything out of here now? The answer seems to be... I'm sure we can somehow. I'm just not seeing how to do it. I'm really sorry. 1, 8 here or 3, 6. That feels like that should be done as well. Oh, I see what it is. I've got 3 here and a 3 here. So where does 3 go in box 6? It's got to go in the 9 cage. So we can get the 9 cage resolved down to a 3 or a 6. That's probably putting pressure on the 10 cage, which now can't be 1, 9. It can be 2, 8. It can't be 3, 7. It can't be 4, 6. So it is 2, 8, which means that's become a 4 and that's become an 8. I still need to put a 1, look, in this row, so it's got to go here. And I still need to put a something else, which is a 4, I think. Yeah, 4 goes there. Now these 3 squares are 3, 5 and 6, and that's lovely, because this is a consecutive sequence. Now the only 2 digits in 3, 5 and 6 that are consecutive, here is a knowledge bomb from cracking the cryptic, is the 5 and the 6. So that means the 3 gets placed over on this side. And that square should be a right-in. That's got to be a 7. Ah, and that's on a circle. Sorry, I'm just checking whether I can do anything more over there. I'm not seeing it. Well, I can rule... Oh. Well, yes, I can. I can rule 8 out from that square. Now, why does that matter? Well, if you think about a consecutive sequence is going to have a high digit. Now, the high digit in the 6, 7, 8 sequence is the 8. So if the 8 is not there, it definitely can't go in the middle of the sequence, otherwise you'll need a 9 as well. So the 8 must live on that side, which actually gives us 3 more digits, which gives us another 2 digits here. Rules a 1 out of that cell. 6 gives us the 6 and the 5. There's probably more we can do there, but I'm not immediately seeing what that is. So maybe we'll look at the 7 arrow. The 7 arrow or the 9 arrow. It's very interesting as well the way we're sort of working our way back up the grid. So we started with mod 3 at the top and got some stuff done at the bottom, and now we've basically gone the bottom of the grid into the middle of the grid, and hopefully we're going to work out... Oh no, hang on, what about those 3 digits? We know what they are. They're 2, 6 and 9. Oh, I see. And those being 2, 6, 9 means we know what the 7 cage is. Well, not the 7 cage, the 7 arrow. It's not 2, 5, it's not 1, 6. That's 3 and 4. Now, oh, we've got 9 here. So that's a 9 and that's a 1. Oh, we can place 1 in box 3. Because you can never put the 1 in the middle of a sequence of 3 digits, or you're going to have to use a 0. And that's not going to work. So what have we got left to place in here? We've got left to place 5, 7 and 8. 5, 7 and 8. Well, the only 2, yeah, okay. 7 and 8 are consecutive. 5 is not consecutive with either 7 or 8. So the 5 must live here. And that can't be a 2 anymore. Oh, it can't be a 2, but it could be a 6 and it could be a 9. Both of those would work, bizarrely enough. That's not an 8 anymore. I'm not sure quite how to do this. I could look at this 9 arrow, but I'm not seeing really much that's... I can see 4 5s eliminated from it. I can't really see a way of eliminating anything else. Oh, 3 6 is eliminated from it because of these 3s. So we can get rid of 6 from that square. Oh, and 4. Right, so I've now found a 4 6 pair in box 2, which I wasn't expecting. Which means this square is a 1 or a 7, because it can't be a 5 just by Sudoku, which means this square is a 2 or an 8. It still doesn't seem to resolve itself, but it was quite interesting. Oh no, now I've got a 1 7 pair. Oh, is that 1 7 right then? Yeah, I suppose it is. The simpler question would be, where does 5 go in column 5? It's only got 1 position. So that's a 5 7. Oh, it still doesn't resolve itself. Silly game. So those squares there are 2, 5 and 8. No, okay, well we know that top one's not 8. We've not used this triple, I don't think. Right, okay, well there is something here, isn't there? Because, well, if we think about what the options are, it's definitely not 1 2 3 because there's a 1, the 1's gone from the row. It's not 2 3 4 because that's going to give this cell no value. For the same reason it's not 3 4 5. So it's at least 4 5 6. Ah, yeah, okay. This is at least 4 5 6, which it's not, because that square cannot be 4 5 or 6. So now it's at least 5 6 7. Ah, okay. So if it's at least 5 6 7, we now know that this triple always has a 7 on it, because the lowest it can be is 5 6 7 and the highest it can be is 7 8 9. So where does the 7 go in the string? It's got to go here. Yeah, okay. And now the 7 is at one end of the string, so it's either the low digit or the high digit. Well, it's not the high digit, because then this would have to go 6 5, which it can't do. So this must be the low digit, which means it must go 8 9. That gives us a 9 and a 2. That gives us a 2 here, and I see, and a 1 here and a 9 here. And suddenly, look, I've got a 1 2 pair at the top of column 3 out of nowhere, which might be resolved by something. This 9 is ruling itself out of both of those squares. not quite seeing how to do this. Do we know what this 12 cage is made up of? So maybe we can do maths on the box. We've got 24, 36. These three squares are adding up to 9. And they're not 1, 2, 6. Ah. Yeah, okay, they're not 1, 2, 6, are they? And the reason we know they're not 1, 2, 6 is that we can't put 1 and 2 in this string. So once we know there's no 6 up here, we know there must be a 6 down here, and we know the 6 must therefore go here, which means that's not a 6. And now this square is either a 4 or a 5 to make it add up. So now I've got a 4, 5 pair in the column, and this square should be a 3. And surely it's done now. Why can't I do it? What is the secret that we're missing here? This square's a 4 or a 5. And this can still, I think this can still be a 6 or a 9. Oh no. I feel like I've made a mistake now and I'm going to end up with a deadly pattern. How do I resolve the puzzle? I've got... Oh, there's no 3 there. Maybe that's how I do it. Oh, there's no 8 here. Oh, I see. Silly me. It's just, the simple question is, where does 8 go? And if you ask where 8 goes in this box, it can only go here because there are actually 4 8s looking at the box. So 8 is forced onto the 9 arrow where it accompanies a 1. That gives us a 1 and a 7. And that gives us a 2 and the 1. And now we know that's a 4 and that's a 5. And presumably this is going to be the key to everything. Now we get a 4 and a 3, and a 3 and a 6, and a 6 and a 2 and a 2 and an 8, and an 8 and a 7 and a 7 and a 4. Yeah, this seems better, doesn't it? Now this has to be low in order to keep the consecutive sequence going. So that gives us a 2 and a 9. That gives us a 4 and a 6. Good grief, and it's just all crumbling, isn't it? This is a 7 now. This is a 2. And this is a 5. And now those add up to 18. So this ought to be a 3. And if we finish with a 9 there and finish with a 4 and a 5 here, I think we're done. And we are. Lovely. Absolutely love that. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs. It really is. Every deduction is very... You know, there was nothing fancy here. There was no set theory. There was no swordfish or jellyfish or X-wing. It's just little solid deductions, one after another, in a very linear way. So we were led on a very specific path, and I do really enjoy puzzles like this, I have to say. So hats off to Listesh. Thank you very much for the puzzle. I hope you enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.